because of you
Certainly.
have to eradicate a certain amount of those pigs. But
Yeah.
isn't there like a lot of food that you're just letting rot?
Across the United States, feral hogs cause $2.5 billion in damage every year. Farmers fight them. Hunters track them. Even government programs spend heavily trying to control their explosive spread. But then something very strange started happening. In states like Texas, Georgia, and Oklahoma, entire groups of hogs began disappearing without explanation. Not just one or two, but full sounders gone almost overnight. No traps were touched, no gunshots were heard, and no bodies were found. Something was killing them with extreme precision. At first, no one could understand what was actually happening. But when researchers finally traced the pattern and found what it was, it immediately forced them to leave the area. Let's dive in. Vanishing hog armies. In 2014, something very strange started in Blanco County, Texas. Researchers began to notice a pattern that did not make sense. Across Texas, Georgia, and Oklahoma, large groups of feral hogs were going missing. These were not small groups. Entire sounders, sometimes 30 to 40 animals, disappeared from areas where they had lived for many years. These places had always been full of hog activity, but now they felt empty and quiet. Wildlife agencies started to worry because they had no clear answer for what was happening. They checked traps across these regions, but they found nothing unusual. Every trap stood untouched, exactly the way they had left it. Hunters also reported that they had not fired any shots in those areas. No one had seen large hunting activity that could explain such huge losses. Even more confusing, nobody found the bodies of the missing animals anywhere nearby. It looked like the hogs had simply vanished without leaving any sign behind. This problem kept growing every week. Reports came in again and again. Hogs disappeared 3 to 4 times a week in some places. Each time, around 20 to 30 animals went missing. That number shocked everyone involved in wildlife control. These animals had always been hard to manage, but they had never disappeared like this before. Experts began to believe that something powerful and unknown was hunting them. Still, nobody could identify what that hunter was. Because of this growing mystery, a research team decided to take action. In 2014, they moved deep into hog territory in Blanco County, Texas. They placed a large grid of trail cameras across the land. For 3 weeks, the cameras stayed active. They recorded hours of footage every single day. The researchers stayed patient because they knew something important would appear sooner or later. After 3 weeks passed, they returned to collect the footage. At that moment, nobody expected what they were about to see. When they reviewed the recordings, everything changed. The footage showed something that no one had predicted. The team watched it again and again because it felt hard to believe. What they saw did not match any known hunting pattern in that region. It looked organized, fast, and extremely effective. Within 48 hours, the entire team made a serious decision. They evacuated the monitoring site completely. They did not leave because they felt afraid of danger. They left because what they discovered was too important. They could not risk disturbing it with human presence. Even a small human scent could affect the behavior they had just recorded. That is how valuable and rare this discovery was. The footage clearly showed an animal carrying out attacks with sharp timing and control. It did not act randomly. It moved with purpose and planning. It worked in a way that reminded researchers of trained systems, not simple instinct. This discovery had the power to change everything people believed about controlling feral hogs in the United States. But before anyone could understand this mystery, they needed to understand one thing first. What exactly were these feral hogs, and why had they become such a huge problem across the country? America's hidden monster, feral hogs, did not start in the United States. Over 500 years ago, in the 16th century, Spanish explorers released domestic pigs along the Gulf coastline. They wanted a simple food supply for future trips. They believed the pigs would stay in one place and wait for them. That idea looked smart at the time, but it quickly went wrong in ways no one expected. These pigs did not stay controlled. They moved into the wild and started surviving on their own. As time passed, their numbers slowly increased across the land. People still did not see the danger clearly at that stage. Then, in the early 1900s, another mistake made the situation far worse than before. Wealthy Europeans brought Eurasian wild boars into the United States for sport hunting. These animals were not like farm pigs. They had strong bodies, thick skulls, and aggressive behavior. They survived in harsh forests and difficult environments where weaker animals could not live. When these wild boars mixed with the already growing population of domestic pigs, something new appeared. The two groups bred together and created a hybrid animal. This new animal carried the strength of wild boars and the adaptability of domestic pigs. It moved faster, reacted quicker, and survived longer. Hunters noticed that these animals did not behave like normal livestock. They learned quickly and adapted to threats around them. This combination created one of the most difficult animals to control in the country. Their reproduction rate made the situation even worse. A single female could produce 2 litters in 1 year. Each litter could contain up to 12 piglets. This meant one animal could quickly turn into dozens within a short time. When experts studied their growth, they saw a pattern that looked dangerous. Their spread across the United States happened faster than most native animals. Their numbers even matched the famous rabbit explosion in Australia during the 19th century. According to the USDA's 2024 figures, around 6.9 million feral hogs now roam freely across the country. Texas alone holds about 2.6 million of them, and they live in 253 out of 254 counties. Only El Paso remains mostly free from their presence. People started noticing signs of their movement everywhere. There is almost no part of Texas without marks left by these animals. They dig deep into the ground, searching for food and water. They leave behind broken land and destroyed soil wherever they travel. Their presence grows stronger every year, and their numbers continue to rise without slowing down. This animal is not just another wild species. It is a powerful hybrid that humans created by mistake. It grows fast, spreads quickly, and survives in almost any condition. That is why controlling it has become one of the biggest challenges in wildlife management today. But the real danger does not stop at their numbers. What these animals do to land, farms, and people is far more serious than anyone first imagined. The unstoppable destruction. Feral hogs do not just exist in the wild. They actively destroy everything around them, and people across the United States face the damage every single day. In Irving, Texas, these animals moved into clean and well-kept areas and tore them apart in just a few nights. They ripped up golf courses that people spent years maintaining. They destroyed expensive residential lawns that homeowners worked hard to protect. They even dug deep enough to cut underground fiber optic cables. Their destruction does not stop in cities. It spreads into critical areas where people depend on safety and control. At a military airfield in Texas, a group of these animals ran directly onto the runway early in the morning. Pilots had to cancel every planned takeoff because they could not risk hitting them. A single collision at that speed could have caused a disaster. This shows how these animals do not just damage land, they interrupt important systems that people rely on every day. Farmers suffer even more because these animals attack their livelihoods without warning. In Williamson County, a farmer lost 24 acres of corn in one single night. The damage reached around $40,000, and nothing remained except broken soil and deep marks left by their movement. The damage went even deeper. These animals dug around a cattle ranch with such force that underground water pipes collapsed. The soil shifted because of their digging, and the system failed completely. Repairs cost around $60,000, and that did not include the stress and time needed to fix everything. This shows how their actions affect not only surface land, but also the hidden systems below it. Experts from Texas A&M University and the National Wildlife Research Center studied this problem closely. They found that the total damage in Texas alone reaches over $500 million every year. When experts look at the entire United States, the number rises to about $3 billion each year. This number keeps increasing as these animals continue to move into new areas. The damage also spreads into water systems that people depend on. These animals move into shallow streams and swamp areas and mix contaminated soil into clean sources. In Alabama, researchers found that water near heavy hog activity had bacterial levels 40 times higher than normal clean areas. This creates serious health risks for both humans and livestock. These animals also carry more than 30 diseases. Some of these diseases can spread to humans and farm animals. The CDC reported cases where hunters became seriously sick after handling these animals without protection. In one case, a hunter suffered from a severe brucella infection and needed months of strong treatment. This shows that the danger does not stop after the animal dies. So now the question becomes simple. If these animals cause this much destruction, why can't people stop them easily? Failed human war people have tried many ways to control these animals, but nothing has worked the way they expected. Hunters go out with strong weapons and spend long hours tracking them, but they often fail to stop enough animals to make a real difference. These animals do not behave like normal targets. They move quickly, change direction fast, and avoid danger as soon as they sense it. A missed shot does not just mean failure for that moment. It teaches the animal to become more careful the next time. Traps also do not solve the problem the way people hoped. Farmers place bait inside cages and wait for animals to enter, but these animals learn very fast. If even one animal escapes from a trap, it remembers the danger and avoids it in the future. It can also lead others away from the same place. This behavior makes trapping less effective over time. People try different bait and different trap designs, but the animals continue to adapt and stay ahead. Some farmers use trained dogs to chase and corner them, but this method brings its own risks. These animals do not run away easily. They stand their ground and fight back when they feel threatened. Strong females protect their young and attack anything that comes close. This method only works for a short time and does not reduce the population in a lasting way. Many people ask a simple question: why not use these animals as food and reduce their numbers that way? The answer is not simple, and it creates another problem. These animals often carry diseases that make them unsafe to handle without proper care. A large number of them test positive for infections that can spread to humans. This makes it risky for people to process and sell the meat without strict control. Laws also limit what people can do. Federal rules do not allow the sale of meat unless approved facilities process it. This stops farmers from building a system where they can sell large amounts of meat from these animals. Even if someone wanted to create such a system, they would face strict legal barriers that make it very difficult to start. There is also another issue that many people do not expect. These animals do not eat clean food. They often feed on waste, dead animals, and whatever they find in the wild. This affects the quality of their meat and makes it less appealing to most people. In some countries, wild boar meat is popular, but in the United States, many people avoid it because of these concerns. A rancher named Mr. Norman, who owns over 740 acres in Texas, tried many of these methods. He used cage traps, bait, and teams of hunting dogs, but nothing gave him a lasting solution. Each time he removed some animals, others returned stronger and more careful. He described the situation as trying to stop a flood with a handheld sponge. So, if humans failed again and again, then what finally started reducing these animals? The killer revealed. After years of failure, researchers turned back to the strange events in Blanco County, Texas. In 2014, the research team led by Dr. John Tomek focused again on the camera footage they had collected earlier. They had already seen something unusual, but now they wanted to study it in more detail. They expanded their camera system across 4 more counties to gather more evidence. This step allowed them to watch a larger area and confirm if the same pattern continued in different locations. The scene did not match anything he expected. A small animal, weighing around 30 pounds, moved with speed and control against a much larger target. The difference in size made the situation even more surprising. This was not a random attack or a lucky moment. It followed a clear pattern that repeated again and again. The research team began to understand that this was not a single event. It was a system. The animal had learned a method. This discovery forced the team to think in a new way. They were no longer looking at simple survival behavior. They were watching something that looked planned and organized. The footage showed how this animal approached its target carefully. It always moved in a direction where its scent would not reach the target. It stayed low to the ground and moved slowly through the brush. It listened and watched every small movement around it. The larger animal stayed nearby, protecting its young, but it could not detect the threat in time. The attacker waited patiently. It did not rush or make noise. It stayed still for long periods, sometimes for more than an hour. It watched for the exact moment when the larger animal moved away for a short time. As soon as that moment came, the attack began. The most surprising part came next. The animal did not work alone. One stayed back and watched the area. Another moved closer to check the target. Then, in a quick and controlled motion, several animals rushed forward together. One grabbed a young animal and carried it away in seconds. The entire action finished in about 5 seconds. Before the larger animal could react, everything was already over. The team also noticed something even more unusual. These animals practiced their movements before attacking. They approached the target area, studied the behavior of the larger animal, and then left without making a move. Later, they returned from a different direction and attacked when conditions improved. They also changed roles between attacks, showing signs of learning and coordination. Before 2010, no one had recorded this kind of behavior in these animals anywhere in the world. This made the discovery even more important. Researchers like Dr. Michael Bodenuk from USDA Wildlife Services in Texas confirmed that this was one of the most significant changes in behavior they had seen in many years. Now the mystery was no longer about what was happening, but about what it meant for the future. The nature's lesson. After researchers understood what these animals were doing, they started to see a bigger picture. This was not just about one predator learning a new trick. This was about nature slowly correcting a problem that humans had created many years ago. The balance that once existed in the wild had started to return in a new way. Scientists observed how this behavior spread across different regions. It did not stay limited to one place. In parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and Georgia, similar patterns appeared again and again. The number of young animals decreased in areas where this predator lived. In some regions, experts recorded a drop of around 20% in the overall population. In East Texas, more than 30% of young animals disappeared each season without any human action. These numbers showed something very important. The change did not happen because of new machines, new weapons, or new policies. It happened because a natural system started working again. The predator did not need money, training, or human planning. It only needed time and opportunity. Once it was adapted, it began to control the problem more effectively than many human methods. However, humans made another mistake at the same time. From 2017 to 2020, several states introduced programs that paid people to kill these predators. Some areas offered up to $75 for each one, thinking they were helping protect farms and livestock. They removed thousands of these animals from the environment without understanding their role. Soon, the impact became clear. In one Texas county, the predator population dropped by more than 60%. The number of problem animals increased rapidly again. The growth returned stronger than before, and the damage increased once more. This realization changed how people looked at the entire situation. They started to understand that not every solution comes from force. Sometimes, the best answer already exists in nature. Humans just need to recognize it and protect it instead of destroying it. Now the story becomes simple. Work with nature, or keep fighting a battle that never ends. Now think about this for a moment. If nature already solved this problem without money, machines, or human control, then why do we still try to fight it the wrong way? Why do people remove the very thing that helps them the most? Do you think humans should control nature, or should they learn to work with it instead? Drop your answer in the comments, because your opinion really matters here. If you found this video fascinating, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Also, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, because we'll be uploading more incredible stories like this one in the coming weeks. Until then, see ya.